Hello, this is James Julian Villa, and we're going to be looking at my production of Laryssa Birdseye's Happy Now. Alright, so this is the first time I've done anything like this, so bear with me while I figure things out and just kind of go through whatever. We'll see what people are interested in. I probably won't do too much chains and effects today, and mostly about the arrangements that I've gone with for this song. So first of all, we have this piano, which Laryssa Birdseye had performed, and I re-recorded it, but this was the first part of the song that I heard her play live, and I was like, oh, I know what to do with this. It gives me like kind of like a prom night and no one wants to dance with you vibe, so that's exactly what I went with for this production. So moving forward, let's see, what else did I put in here? So in this intro, to help kind of add a little ambience, I found this drone from Splice that had a lot of good harmonic content, and let me show you what that sounds like. Hopefully. Where is it? It might not come in yet. Oh yeah, it's so quiet. It slowly builds in. It's just to add that little tiny texture there. But yeah, I thought about maybe adding a string pot or something, but I wanted something with a lot of cool harmonic content. And then this other drone here comes in too underneath, and that just kind of helps add a nice little floatiness under the piano. Nice build there. The next thing that I did was, obviously we need some way to get into this bigger section and kind of give you a feeling of where the song is going to go, but without sort of giving away the big beat. So what I did was I kind of took this drum loop and put it underwater a little bit. And put like some decapitator on it. I think it already had this reverb on it, or maybe that's from CLA guitars. Yeah, so that adds that cool delay, but it just like brings a nice little vibe to the song that I thought was nice. It's just barely there, but it's sort of like gives you a hint of what's to come here. And I'll show you this transition here, and then I'll break down what's going on there. And then you go full 80s prom right there. So what I have is this drum beat continues, and then we build some energy with this reverse piano, which I probably just found a sample of a reverse piano that was already reversed, so it sounds like this. And I just tuned it to the key. But you can also just play a MIDI note and record that audio and then just reverse it to make something similar. And then you obviously just want to add a bit of like reverb and ambience so that has a bit of a tail. We have this tom riser here, which is like pretty aggressive, but in the context of the mix, it's not like doing too much to take you out of it. And then obviously the full beat comes in here, and that's just very 80s style kick, snare drum. I think it's probably a couple samples that I layered together. Yeah, it looks like we have two samples, probably both from Splice. And then the kick is doing kind of the really 80s rhythm. That's 3 kicks layered together. I usually use like one kick that's like a vibe with some reverb on it, one that's like the low sounding kick that adds like the sub, and then one that's like I just added a machine drum kick because I thought that was a very 80s thing to do, kind of like emulating the style of a Linn drum a little bit there. And then you have a couple of tom fills that come in and out, which I performed on a contact kit, which is probably like some 80s thing. So I put all the fills and crash on one channel because that was kind of a different vibe. And then we have this hi-hat topper that kind of adds a little bit of movement. Has some feel in it. And let's check out the basses right here. So I went with something that was like obviously pretty 80s. We have this one which is kind of like the Jaco Pastorius thing from Weather Report, which has a nice little kind of envelope thing, which is great for the attack. And then I think we have just a mini Moog, which is really just to add that sub feeling, and together the basses like add this nice thing that you really feel underneath everything. The next thing that I added was as a transition and as like something that kind of made it more interesting once the piano drops out, I added this little arpeggio synth, which is a Prophet with a lot of reverb on it. It sounds like this. And then I kind of ducked it back, but it's still there in the verse, so I'll let you hear what this is doing to the beat. Bet you barely hear it, but it adds that nice kind of that like nice 16th thing. And then we have this bell melody, which I thought was nice to kind of introduce a new melody on top that's kind of like adding a bit of extra melodic content. And it's just a super verbed out 80s bell pluck sound from Arteria Pigments that happens every like couple bars or so, that kind of brings you into each new section. So moving forward, then I left it pretty sparse there so that the vocals could have their spot, and so we have more room to kind of build the song. Then when we get into here, we get the kind of time after time pad, I would say. It's probably a Juno or something. Yeah, it's a Yamaha DX7. So that's the first pad that I introduce here. The piano comes back in to kind of build us into the next section here. And that's I probably forgot to mention, that's a Keyscape patch. Dark score, pretty nice piano. And then we get into the chorus, which is a lot more layers here. So we have an arpeggio pad, which really kind of helps drive the movement of the song. It might not even be something that you notice on first listen, but it's something that just adds that nice little arp thing going on. Then we have that old pad. We have the synth pad, which is panned to the left ear, so it kind of creates a stereo spread with this one. But I panned them a little bit, not exactly left and right, so that they could kind of sit in their own space. And then we have this piano, which is kind of like, that's like the riff or whatever from the piano section earlier that you have going on throughout the song, and that just kind of helps bring that out a little bit. Which is pretty nice there. And when you kind of add all those pads together, you get a nice little space thing going on. And then I'm pretty sure that there is this ARP bass finally comes in, which is like really the driving force behind this chorus here. Kind of brings it to a new place and really drives the rhythm forward. And that works really nicely with this pad because they're both kind of accentuating that dun, 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 dun. And then I brought back in these drones to kind of add a little bit more ambience to that last chorus, first chorus rather. And that just kind of drives it nicely. And then, interestingly enough, we have all the verses in the beginning, so I decided to throw a bridge here in the middle where she had some different words there, and we took a bit of a more soft direction here. Here we have a nice string arrangement. If I can just... some nice tensions happening there. So obviously I did kind of like a traditional strings where I have two cellos playing the bass notes here. One of them is more synthy, one of them is probably like a Prophet or something, looks like, and the other one is traditional cello. And then let's see, I'm not very good at organizing or labeling yet, and also this is from a year ago, so don't mind my poorly organized session here. Definitely good to label things a little bit better, but I can really hear those violins. Something with a little bit more movement, some contrary motion. And then I had this cool kind of U2 thing that came out of nowhere. I was just browsing patches, and this patch came up, and I was actually considering playing guitar on this, but it just didn't feel like, for some reason, the right vibe. Even though it's very 80s, I couldn't find the tones, but I found this, which has a really cool kind of like whammy, Digitech whammy effect on it. And it sounds kind of like fake on its own, but in the context, it adds this like Coldplay U2 kind of thing. Yeah, so I played that part with those bands in mind of like what, you know, The Edge or something would play on something like this. So I thought that was kind of cool. Next we arrive, and just to kick the beat into another gear, I added an extra loop on the last chorus to kind of bring the volume up a bit. This one it's kind of like the, what is that? Like the 808, not the 808, but it's like kind of the Casio thing. That's like the bossa nova beat. It's just kind of there, adding a little bit extra. But yeah, other than a couple transitional things, that's more or less the arrangement for it. Of the instrumental. Maybe I'll go through just a couple of vocal things that I was really stoked on. This background part is a lot of vocals. I was like thinking that for the last chorus, I wanted to have like a big kind of choir sound of people singing that last Happy Now part. So that's Laryssa. And that's me and Laryssa. We both did a handful of vocals. As you can see, there's like 15 or so vocals on that one. And most of this is just like a tiny bit of compression and just like a lot of reverb to kind of put it in that space in the back a little bit. Let's see. I think that's like mostly it. I will say that this song is on all streaming platforms. It's Laryssa Birdseye. You can find it, and I hope to hopefully do more of these kind of videos if people are interested. And this is my first one, so I probably went too fast or skipped things, but if you have any questions about things or requests, I'm going to try to do this more because it helps me kind of more understand what I'm doing as I grow as a producer, and I want to know what your thoughts are, or like, oh, what if you had done this? I'm definitely open to your thoughts on some of the choices and things that you might have done, and open to answering any questions that you guys might have. So thanks for watching.